Hello, today you will hear a story about a man's revenge. Martina and I have been married for over 20 years. We met when we were very young at a friend's party. It was a fabulous evening. We were a little drunk and merry. Between us that evening flashed a special interest in each other. Then we started dating, and after a while we got married. I worked at a local poultry farm. I started here from the bottom, helping all the time. I thought that this was the first and temporary job. It was very hard work, which gave little pleasure. But I tried very hard to get good money. Management noticed my efforts and I moved up the career ladder. Now I was in charge of several shops. I managed and oversaw all work. It worked out pretty well for me, because I knew perfectly well how everything works here. Martina also got a job in this company as an accountant. Our life was very ordinary. On weekdays we worked, and on weekends we rested. Most often, we gathered with friends at our country house. That was a beautiful place, and we loved roasting meat over a fire and talking to each other. My director, Edward, was a very slippery person. He was appointed relatively recently, and I didn't like him right away. Respectnut mammy. Because of him, half the staff quit because he liked to fine and was too picky about work. He didn't particularly have any complaints about me, but he was in no hurry to encourage me for my work. He cut everyone's rates and reduced the payment of bonuses. So now there was more work, but less money. In his nature, I noticed cunning and secrecy. He was clearly hiding something. Once again, we gathered with friends for the weekend at our country house. "William, how are things at work?" My friend Kyle asked me. To be honest, not really. The new director has already got everyone. He worsened the work of the enterprise with his innovations. And now he blames for everything because the management cannot be wrong. "Yes, this is a rare asshole. I heard about him," said my second friend. "Stephen, guys, what are you talking about him? The person is new mastering and trying to do the best he can stand up for Edward Martina." "Martina, what the hell are you defending him for? He really is a bastard." It's with indignation. I spoke out to Martina. "William, what did he do to you personally? Did you take a pay cut?" "Well, times are hard for the company. It's not his fault. I regularly do accounting and see that income has decreased significantly, so I have to cut everything." "We've already discussed this. I don't understand why this topic is brought up again." "Martina, I see that this is a bad person. There is clearly something wrong here." "Well, of course you know better. You are in charge of orders and foreign policy of the company." Martina quipped with irony. "I may not be doing this, but I see only one thing, that when this moron came, everything started to decline. If I'm the only one who notices this, then it's okay. But everyone sees it, and instead of supporting your husband, you take the side of this freak." "Well, why are you so smart, still not the director of this enterprise? You've been sitting in your place for a long time. Your career growth has stopped. So sit back and do your job." Martina answered with anger. "So guys, enough already. Enough. It's all calmed down. We all understand that there is trouble at your work. Let's let it all go today and continue to rest. Kyle tried to defuse the situation. Great idea. I fully support her. Let's drink, supported Stephen, and held out a bottle of beer. We all bumped into bottles and continued to rest, trying not to bring up this topic. I tried to act like nothing happened, but in fact, Martina's position upset me a lot, and today she simply outdid herself in her statements. For me, it was completely incomprehensible. Congratulations, it was getting dark outside, and I walked away with a bottle of beer, leaning against the fence for some alone time. Stephen came up to me. "William, can I stand here with you?" "Yes, sure." "Listen, here's the deal. That's in general. Edward is really an arsehole. I completely agree with you. I've been told a lot of bad things about him." "Yes, Stephen. I don't understand why Martina is so protective of him." "That's the point. William, I did not want to escalate the situation, but they say about Edward that he is a womanizer with a capital letter. He doesn't miss a single skirt, and Martina is a prominent woman. I'm afraid nothing bad will happen." "Are you serious, Stephen?" "No, I don't believe that Martina is capable of such a thing. She would send Edward to hell. Just be careful. I, as your friend, decided to convey this information to you. Just don't tell Martina I told you that. I don't want to be extreme in your dealings." "That you, Stephen. Thanks for the advice." I hardly slept that night. Martina's strange behavior and Stephen's words stuck in my head. And then there's the business trip that Edward sent me on. All this drove me crazy. In the morning, I decided to talk to Martina. "Baby, I'm sorry, but I still can't understand why you're so protective of Edward. Are you talking about it again? Am I always supposed to agree with you? If you have such an impression of him, then I feel sorry for you. I'm very embarrassed by your position. I have a feeling that I'm not your husband, but he... So that's the point. Are you jealous of me?" Martin replied with a smile. "Or be jealous. But it's not only that. You are my jealous. William, you are a fool who still need to be looked for. Didn't you really think that I could cheat on you with Edward?" "Yes. I only love you and will not change you for anything. I love you very much too. I just don't want anyone to come between us. Yes, no one stands between us and will not be able to stand. Don't wind yourself up. Okay." After this conversation, I felt better. I really thought I was a jealous fool who screwed himself up because of gossip. A few days later, I packed up and went on a business trip, but there I again felt insecure. My inner instinct told me that there was still something wrong. I had to stay on a business trip for 2 weeks, but with all the tasks, I coped much faster. During this time, I was increasingly overcome by doubts about the fidelity of my wife. And I decided to come home early, but I did not warn anyone about it. I decided to follow Martina. I was terribly curious what she would do in my absence. That way, at least I'll know exactly what's going on. This will help me calm down. I returned to my city late at night. My car was parked near my house. I got into the car, then I started watching. Martina, as always, left the house in the morning and went to work in the direction of production. I followed her and stopped not far from my business. The day dragged on long and painfully. During this time, my mind was torn by thoughts that Martina had lied to me. I tried to put aside all my thoughts, reassuring myself that I didn't know anything for sure, and that I needed to be sure to make such assumptions. It was getting on in the evening. I saw the staff go home, but Martina wasn't there. It made my heart beat faster and faster. Why is she delayed? Everyone is long gone. There shouldn't have been anyone here besides the guard. Maybe I didn't notice how she left. But I saw that her car was still in the parking lot. Then I could not stand it and decided to get inside. I knew this enterprise like the back of my hand. It was easy for me to get inside without anyone noticing me. It was very quiet here. It was very unusual. It was very noisy here on a weekday. A large number of equipment and people worked. My wife's office was on the second floor. There was a light on. I crept quietly to the door and heard voices. I heard voices. Well, Martina, stop pretending to be Employee of the Year. Jokingly sounded a male voice, by which I recognized Edward. My heart beat even faster. My consciousness pushed me to the fact that I had doubts for nothing, but it didn't make me feel any better. I decided to watch further. Edward, I really need to get things done. Hence, or do you want the founders to find out that you are stealing money? I do not steal, but I earn just a little more salary. Wow, a little, jokingly responded Martina. Well, I did not trust you in vain. And this money is not only mine, you will also receive your share of this deal. But can only get a life sentence behind bars for this shenanigan if anyone finds out about it. No one will know. Martina, you're smart. It's your idiot husband. How can you just stand it? I do not know. But with him, I'm at peace. It's time for you to get rid of him. Soon we will get a decent amount of money and get out of this scruffy town. Let's leave your husband to blame. This fool will receive info from the founders, and no one will listen to him, because everything will point to the fact that it was he who carried out these machinations. And now, baby, it's time for you to get a little distracted. My friend already misses you very much, Edward said as he unbuttoned his pants. Martina playfully began to undress, and this freak began to climb on her. I was mad with anger and burst into the office. Oh, you bitches are tattered. I shouted, pulled this bastard off my wife, and smacked him in the face with all my strength. William, what are you doing here? Are you supposed to be on a business trip? Martina screamed with great surprise. Yes, I decided to make sure with my own eyes that you are a finished creature. William, cool down, otherwise I'll smear you. Edward tried to get up from the floor, threatening me. Are you still going to threaten me? Bitch. I shouted and slammed my boot right on the snow-white teeth of this bastard. Edward's mouth filled with blood. He grabbed his mouth. You knocked my teeth out, you bastard. Edward hissed desperately. Am I the bastard? Now let's see what you're doing here. Yes, let's see. Wow, you creatures unanimously sang that the production had no money, while you yourself secretly sold our product at inflated prices. And they hid the difference in their pocket. Now it is clear. You robbed everyone, you vile bastards. Okay, now I'll deal with you. William, what are you thinking? Martina asked in a trembling voice. Shut up, whore. You'll see for yourself soon. I shouted back. I tied these individuals tightly and dragged them to the shipping line. Then I operated the crane from above using the remote control and lowered the hook on the cable. I placed these individuals on a hook and lifted them up, hanging them upside down. Do any of you creatures understand what fate awaits you? I shouted with a confused look. No, William, no, please don't kill, Martin screamed in hysterics. William, forgive me. I'm sorry. I will return all the money. And if you want, we can share it with you. You will become very rich, Edward tried to persuade me. At this point, they were hanging directly above the water tank. Birds were lowered into this tank upside down, and they were killed by high voltage, which was connected to this tank of water. I don't want your dirty money. I'll make you pay now. Then I will treat you like chickens in this enterprise. It would be better for you to die right away. Otherwise, you will be hurt further individuals. And now it's time to start the water procedures, I said and pressed the button on the remote control. These individuals began to slowly sink down. They writhed like snakes thrown into hot oil. They were in terrible fear and despair. Every second that brought them closer to their inevitable fate terrified them with inevitability. The poor fellows were terrified when they touched the water. 10 corporations. The effect of self-hypnosis made me feel a shock of electricity for a second. But not more. I didn't kill them. I cut off the electricity from the tank beforehand, so they just dipped into the water. At to them, I lifted them above the water and approached them. So, you individuals, listen to me carefully. I will spare your miserable lives. But tomorrow, I advise you to stay in the city. I gave the founders and the police all those documents from the office. I advise you to go to jail voluntarily. And if you try to escape, then pray that the police get to you first. Otherwise, I will find you and finish what I started. Did I speak clearly? I asked those trembling individuals, holding their throats in my hands. They agreed to everything in horror, and I let them go. I gave all the documents to the founders and the police. Those individuals didn't run anywhere. I scared them well. They were put behind bars for a long time. Things went well for me. The founders appointed me as the director of this enterprise, and I put everything in order here. A successful revenge, a new position, and a solid increase in salary helped me get rid of the regrets that I lived with for so many years. A lying woman. Okay. Dear listeners, your support is very important to us. If you like our story, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very motivating for us. We need your feedback to improve our content.